Hello and welcome to Daily Media, your go-to source for the latest news from around the world. From politics to business, global affairs to technology, we bring you the most important updates, fast, accurate, and straight to the point. Coming up in today's headlines, briefly mention 2 to 3 top stories, e.g., tensions rise in Gaza as ceasefire negotiations stall, the US reviews military aid to Ukraine, and China unveils new economic policies. Stay tuned as we dive into the details. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with breaking news every day. Let's get started. Middle East, Gaza ceasefire and Israel-Palestine tensions. The fragile ceasefire in Gaza is under threat as Hamas accuses Israel of intentionally undermining the agreement. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has proposed extending the ceasefire in phases, a move Hamas sees as a tactic to avoid negotiating a permanent resolution. The conflict escalated when Israel blocked aid deliveries into Gaza, citing security concerns, after Hamas rejected a US-backed proposal to continue the ceasefire while negotiating the release of hostages. International pressure is mounting, with Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey condemning Israel's actions, and the United Nations warning of a worsening humanitarian crisis. Meanwhile, Israeli officials insist that Hamas must be disarmed before any lasting agreement is reached. United States, aid to Ukraine and tariff wars. The Biden administration is facing political pressure over its decision to pause military aid to Ukraine. The move follows a heated meeting between US President Joe Biden and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, during which Washington reportedly demanded stronger anti-corruption measures and clearer military strategies before sending further support. This has sparked concerns among NATO allies, who fear it may weaken Ukraine's resistance against Russian advances. In a separate development, the US has announced new tariffs on imports from Canada, Mexico, and China. The move, aimed at protecting domestic industries, has drawn criticism from international trade partners who warn of retaliatory measures. Economists predict that these tariffs could escalate into a broader trade war, impacting global markets. China, Xi Jinping's political strategy and global positioning. Chinese President Xi Jinping is using the ongoing National People's Congress to solidify China's position as a global leader, contrasting its political system with what it perceives as instability in Western democracies. His government has emphasized China's technological advancements, particularly in artificial intelligence and defense, as key drivers of national strength. However, China is facing internal economic struggles, with youth unemployment at record highs and the property market in crisis. Beijing has responded by introducing new economic policies, including incentives for foreign investors and increased government spending. Meanwhile, tensions with Taiwan remain high, with China warning the US against further military support for the self-governing island. Russia, military expansion and internal crackdowns. President Vladimir Putin has intensified military recruitment efforts, expanding conscription laws to replenish Russian forces engaged in Ukraine. Recent reports indicate that Russia is deploying more troops to the front lines, signaling a potential escalation in the conflict. Domestically, the Kremlin continues its crackdown on opposition figures and independent media. Several journalists and activists have been arrested in recent weeks, with Russian authorities tightening internet censorship. Putin's administration remains defiant against international sanctions, claiming that Russia's economy is resilient despite ongoing Western restrictions. Europe, political challenges in the UK, France, and Germany. In the United Kingdom, Prime Minister Keir Starmer is under scrutiny after a £6 billion reduction in the country's foreign aid budget led to the resignation of a key minister. The decision has been criticized both domestically and internationally, with aid organizations warning of severe consequences for global humanitarian efforts. In France, President Emmanuel Macron is facing protests over pension reforms, with labor unions continuing strikes across major cities. The French government argues that raising the retirement age is necessary to sustain the economy, but opposition parties claim the policy disproportionately affects lower-income workers. Germany is dealing with a growing far-right movement as the Alternative for Germany AfD party gains popularity. Chancellor Olaf Scholz has vowed to counter extremist rhetoric, but political analysts warn that nationalist sentiments are on the rise, especially amid concerns over immigration and economic instability. South Africa, political unrest in Guinea-Bissau. In West Africa, Guinea-Bissau is experiencing political turmoil after a failed mediation attempt by the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. President Umaro Sissoco Embalo has been accused of threatening opposition leaders who challenge his claim that his term extends until September. The Supreme Court has backed his stance, but opposition groups insist his term has already expired. Embalo has set elections for November, though international observers worry about potential violence leading up to the vote. To South America, Brazil's push for regional leadership. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva is working to strengthen his country's diplomatic influence in Latin America. He has called for closer economic ties among South American nations and has criticized U.S. interventionist policies in the region. However, Lula is facing domestic challenges, including opposition from Brazil's conservative factions and concerns over inflation. To Australia, leadership challenges amid climate crisis. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is facing criticism over his handling of Cyclone Alfred, which has caused severe flooding in Queensland and New South Wales. Environmental groups argue that the government's climate policies are insufficient to prevent future disasters. The opposition is also using the crisis to challenge Albanese's leadership ahead of upcoming elections. Technology is evolving faster than ever, and we're here to keep you ahead of the curve. In today's tech updates, mention 2 to 3 top tech stories, e.g., Amazon takes a leap into quantum computing, Xiaomi redefines smartphone photography, and Hong Kong accelerates tech company listings. Smartphone innovations, Xiaomi's traditional camera experience. At the Mobile World Congress MWC 2025 in Barcelona, Xiaomi unveiled the Xiaomi 15 and 15 Ultra smartphones, developed in collaboration with Leica. These devices aim to revive the traditional camera experience, with the Xiaomi 15 Ultra featuring a 4-camera system and 2 telephoto lenses. A conversion kit is available, providing a shutter button, thumb support, and physical dial for manual adjustments. Xiaomi also previewed a concept phone with a magnetically attachable 35mm lens and manual focusing ring, marking a significant engineering achievement. This approach emphasizes the camera's importance in consumer decisions, contrasting with the trend toward AI-driven smartphone features. Quantum computing, Amazon's Ocelot chip. Amazon has introduced its first quantum computing chip, named Ocelot. Currently a research prototype, Ocelot utilizes cat qubits to address and suppress qubit bit flip errors, reducing the need for extensive error correction in quantum computing. This development underscores Amazon's commitment to advancing practical quantum computers, joining other tech giants like Microsoft and Google in the quantum computing arena. Tech listings, Hong Kong's new fast-track channel. Hong Kong is establishing a new channel on its stock exchange to expedite the listing process for technology companies. This initiative aims to enhance Hong Kong's appeal as a fundraising hub, particularly for Chinese tech firms seeking to raise capital abroad. The Technology Enterprises Channel will assist specialist technology and biotechnology firms, especially those already listed in mainland China, in listing in Hong Kong. Please note that technology developments are continually evolving. For the most recent updates, refer to reputable news sources.